I've always wanted to tell my side. And it feels good to be able to tell my story after holding it in for so long. The people that say that I lied, well, they're right. I did lie on stand for Todd. But for everyone that says that I am a liar, I just say that, you don't know me. A lot of people think Todd's innocent when he's not. I know how Todd was. And I don't really care what people say. As long as I know the truth, I could care less. Everyone's so worried about Texas executed an innocent man when they did not execute an innocent man. I know Todd is guilty. You don't know the whole story. You don't know my life with Todd, but I hope after watching this, you do. It's crazy that the first day I ever met him, there was a red flag and I dismissed it. The first time I met Todd, I was working at a Dairy Queen. I was a senior in high school.
Hey.
He goes, well, aren't you Stacy? I said, yes. He says, don't you drive that white pickup? I said, yes, I do. He says, don't you live in those apartments? I said, actually, I do. At the time, never thought about how did this man know all this stuff about me already, and I had never seen him a day in my life. But it's like I had already been being followed and watched. And he said, well, my brother wants to go out with you. And I said, well, why don't he come ask me? And he said, well, he's shy.
Yeah, sure. We can hang out.
When I met them that evening, Todd was the one that started talking to me. And actually the whole evening, he talked to me the whole evening. His brother actually never talked to me. So it was Todd that I ended up dating. He seemed like a really good person. He was so nice to me, and he showed me so much attention. Years later, I had asked his brother about, hey, Todd told me that he come in and asked me to go out with you, actually. And he had told me that, no, Stacy, that's not true. I didn't know you. After everything that's happened, I see so many red flags that I just dismissed. So many. This photograph of me and Todd. This actually was taken on Todd's 20th birthday. That was the day he changed. That's the day I told him I was pregnant with Amber. I was 18. I told him I was pregnant, and he said, you better not be. He goes, I didn't ask for a kid. I don't want a kid, and I don't want a wife. That's not the life I want. So I'm sure that's why I don't look so happy in this picture. Todd never pushed me, shoved me, slapped me, anything until after I told him I was pregnant for the first time. I was running a bath. We were talking about something.
I was thinking maybe it's time to look for work.
And I just don't think he liked my answer. And he just kind of pushed me. But when he pushed me over the bathtub. And I said, Todd, why did you push me like that? I could have a miscarriage. And he just said, well, that wouldn't be a bad thing. And I was just like, what? So it was a shock to me for him to even push me, but then to say that. It was heartbreaking. But he was my first boyfriend, my first on everything. He was my first. And I did love him. I was in love with him. And I guess I overlooked the little things that really were big things that I shouldn't have overlooked with him. I don't want to be a single mom raising a child. I want him here. I want him to love his daughter and love me too the way I love him. I wanted to do whatever I could just to keep my family together. I realized I was pregnant again. Amber was 8 months old, and I went to the doctor, did a sonogram, and I was pregnant with twins.
Hey.
Hey.
I went home, and Todd came through the door, and I said, hey, I'm pregnant with twins.
Are you kidding me? Again? I didn't even want the first one.
And he starts arguing with me. He starts pushing me. He gets on top of me and he's hitting me. I've never had no man beat me. No one ever beat me like he was doing. Well, I reached over to grab that phone to call 911. He took the phone out of my hand. He starts beating me with the phone. I mean, he beat me with the phone so badly he broke the phone. And then he stops and he reaches for Amber and he says, give me that kid. I'm taking her. She's mine. I didn't know what he was going to do. I kind of throw myself up against her. I said, over my dead body. And he said, well, that can be arranged.
Careful what you wish for.
He just looked like so mad, like he could have killed me. He looked so evil. I chose not to call the cops because I was still young. And I guess I thought, I don't want any more problems. I thought maybe if I did call the cops, maybe they would arrest him and then I'd have to deal with him when he got out. So I just wanted it to be over. I didn't want to deal with him. So I chose not to call the cops. I said, get out of my house. Well, it was about a month or so, 6 weeks. We talked. He apologized. He said, I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry. I can never apologize enough to you for what I have done. And I believed him. I'm fixing to have the twins. He acts like he's excited now about it. You know, everybody makes mistakes. So I let him back in. I didn't recognize all the evil in Todd because I love Todd. And a lot of times love is blinding. It blinds you from the truth. The twins were 2 months old. I thought Todd was having an affair because he was disappearing a lot. He was saying he was at work at times when I would find out that he wasn't. And that's what started the fight that night.
Are you calling me a liar? Is that what you're saying?
Of course not. You know that's not what I meant. He started cussing me and yelling, started pushing me around. And then Todd started hitting on me.
I don't owe you an explanation.
Stop, don't! And he held me down and Todd beat me until I seen stars. When a woman has a baby, you can start hemorrhaging. And I started bleeding real bad. Todd put me in that bathtub. I tried to tell Todd, you know, you've got to call my mom or take me to the hospital because I could die. I said, I have got to go to the hospital. No. Nope. Refused to let me go. I stayed in that tub all night. I honestly just thought I was going to die. I thought that was it. I guess I'd fallen asleep in the tub. I woke up and Todd was just sitting there. I don't know how long they had been sitting there watching me. I can still today see his face. He said, did you learn your lesson? I said, about what? And he said, about talking back to me. You don't talk back to me. I told you every time you talk back to me, this is what's going to happen to you. You've got to learn, Stacey. You've got to learn to act right. I was terrified of Todd. And I knew that if I ever was to call the cops at that time, that I would be punished by him. And he would tell me, you'll never leave me. I'll never let you leave. This is a photograph of the twins. This is actually the very first picture I ever took with the girls. I was so scared because they were so little. But I would ask Amber, which one's Cameron, which one's Carmen, and she could pick them out. She was a good big sister to them. You see how young I am in it? When the twins were born, I was 20 years old. I always think, if that girl would have been a little bit stronger, your life could have been a lot different. I wouldn't be sitting here telling my story. If she could have just been a little bit stronger. I don't know if I could forgive her, because if she would have just woke up and stepped back and said, hey, no, this isn't going to happen, our lives would have ended up different than they are today. After we got married, he said that, I think that I'm going to go ahead and let you work, and I'm going to stay home and watch the kids. And I was working, paying the bills. I noticed that I did everything on my own. I'd go to work thinking, why do I have him there? I can do this for my girls and me. I don't need him.
You're home late?
Yeah, I had a long day at work.
And so I started standing up more for myself. Even if it was to cause a fight, I'd still stand up.
Or maybe you got a boyfriend I don't know about.
Excuse me?
I remember coming home one night and he started yelling at me.
Just shut up.
And when I turned around, he just popped me in my mouth. And I looked at him and I said, Todd, you can hit me all you want. Come the first of the year after Christmas, I am going to divorce you. I don't need you.
We're over.
I'm done with all your evilness. I'm moving on and taking my girls with me. I was expecting him to start arguing or backhand me, but he didn't. He didn't say a word. He just looked at me, never said a word. He just never said a word. It was around December the 8th or so, and I heard a knock on the door, and it was some friends of ours, and they were there to share the news of the passing of their baby. She was pregnant, and she had a baby boy that was stillborn. And I was telling Todd, I said, I don't know how they're going to do it. I said, how can you lose your child? That would kill me. I could never lose my child. I don't think I could make it, It's just the worst thing in the world.
It's just terrible.
And Todd was just like, yeah, I know. Because I know you love the girls more than anybody that walks this earth.
You really do love your girls more than anything. Even me.
I think that planted that idea in his head. Here I'm talking about divorcing him. And so I think when I told Todd how I would feel if I lost my girls, I think maybe he remembered that. I think if I would have never said that, I don't know, maybe things would have been different. Money was always tight because it was only me working and I had 4 mouths to feed. It was December and I was at the house and Todd come in one day with 2 of his friends and they were bringing this icebox in the house. And I said, Todd, we already have an icebox. He goes, well, I'm going to fix it. I said, what do you mean fix it? It doesn't work? He says, no, it doesn't work, but I'm going to fix it. Todd took the icebox and pushed it right to the back door so you couldn't get out. I told him, I said, can we at least move it over? But he refused to. So it just sat there. Looking back now to where the icebox was, if anyone was to try to get in that back door, they couldn't. If anyone was trying to get out of the house, they could not. It was big and it was bulky, and I think it was there for a reason, to block that back door. This is the last picture we ever took together. Me and Todd took the girls to a photo store to get our pictures taken for family pictures. I wanted to give them for Christmas gifts. We're all smiling and he looked so mad, like he did not want to be there with any of us. I get angry when I look at this picture. You're with the only people that truly loved you. but you're so mad and you look so evil in it. I can't explain Todd's evilness. I can't. On December 22nd at 91, I went back to pick up the family pictures with Todd. And then I went to get Amber a Christmas dress. And he said, hey, I want to go. Let's go. What are you doing? I said, I'm looking for a Christmas dress for Amber. She doesn't need a Christmas dress. Why are you looking for a dress?
This is our last Christmas together as a family. And if I want her to have a dress, she will.
I turned around, I looked at him, I said, I'm buying my daughter a Christmas dress because I can, and it's my money. And I really don't care what you have to say because once again, I am divorcing you after Christmas. So I really don't care what you think.
Don't forget I'm divorcing you.
He looked at me. It was like a moment of, I just hate for what you just said to me. I was expecting him to argue with me or to fight me or maybe backhand me, but he didn't say anything. He didn't say a word. And so he got mad and went back to the car. I think he's seen a person that was becoming something that he didn't like. A person that was standing up to him and saying, hey, I'm done. Enough's enough. I think that was the trigger. I've got to put her back in her place. I've got to take from her to make her that weak woman again because she's getting too strong. I got up on December 23rd, 1991, and I went into the twins' bedroom, fed them, gave them their bottles, and we were just playing, and, it was almost Christmas time, and I kind of looked up, and Todd was standing at the door and looking in on us.
Oh, Todd, you're up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was unusual for him to get up so early with us because he normally didn't do that. And I just said, what are you doing? He goes, nothing, just watching. He didn't really have a lot to say. Maybe he was having second thoughts watching us play and we were laughing and stuff, but he didn't join with us. He just watched over us that morning.
Well, I gotta go.
And I told Todd, I've got to do some errands. And then once I get home, we'll get ready for the holidays. And he didn't say anything. Looking back now, I just wonder sometimes if he was looking in on us thinking, should I do this or should I not?
The indication of heavy fire coming out of the double windows with the most fire coming out of the front window.
I had some errands to run that morning. I was standing in line and a cop come in announcing he was looking for Stacy Willingham. And I was like, well, that's me.
Christmas tree that was in the corner in the living room. There's the remains of plastic toys.
So then I start panicking and I'm asking him, well, did something happen? Is something wrong? Did something happen to the girls or one of the girls? He goes, ma'am, I don't know. All I know is to take you to the hospital.
This is the kitchen area. The refrigerator has been placed back against the back door where it was upon the arrival of the fire department.
They put me in this little room, and the doctor come in and talked to me, and he says, Amber didn't make it. And I was like, well, what do you mean Amber didn't make it? What are you talking about? Where is she at?
This is the bed where the 2-year-old was found in the middle of the bed.
I start yelling in the ER, where is my daughter? I start going to open doors.
Heavy charring underneath, indicating that fire was underneath the bed.
So I run in there to her. And so I was holding her and I asked them, where are my twins at? Where are the girls at?
The other side of the entrance was one of the cribs for one of the 1-year-olds.
Someone said that they were at a funeral home. And I was like, a funeral home? Why are they at a funeral home? And she says, ma'am, your twins didn't make it either.
This is the east side of the house. This is the room where the babies were found.
And I was just I was just in shock. I just didn't understand. I kept just holding her and rocking her. I just begged, please wake up, Amber. I remember just begging that, just wanting her to wake up. And for it not to be real, you know. How are my kids dead? It's like, how are my girls gone? How is this happening? You're telling me that all three of my daughters are dead, but yet my husband is laying in the next room and he barely had any marks on him. So I wanted to know what was going on.
I'll give you guys a minute.
And when I walked in, he's like he couldn't look at me. He just wouldn't even look at me at first.
What happened, Todd?
He's saying that he woke up to Amber saying, Daddy, Daddy. He noticed there was smoke in the house, told her to get out of the house, went down the hall, went in the girls' room, tried to feel for him.
The room was filled with smoke.
He had found a teddy bear and thought he found one of the twins and got out and realized it wasn't one of the twins. It was a teddy bear. He said he got out of the house.
So you went back?
And I'm like, but why didn't you go back in to get the girls? And he says, well, I tried, but the fire was too much and I couldn't get back in. I was looking out the window and everybody left. There was just me and Todd in that room. And Todd asked me, he said, Stacy, what's wrong?
You okay?
And I was like, what? He said, what's wrong? Don't be sad. I said, Todd, we just lost all of our girls today, you know? He said, well, Stacy, don't worry. It'll be all right. We'll have more kids. We'll have another Amber, Carmen, and Cameron. Don't be sad.
We'll have more.
I just looked at him and I just turned around and looked out that window and thought, how did this person just say this to me? He just lost his girls too. How can you say that? It'll be all right. It was just shocking for me to hear him say that. And I just looked out the window. I never said a word back. Just looked out the window. I think I was just still in shock, but I never forgot that. Sometimes when I dream, I'm in that house. The house is on fire and I'm reaching out to my girls and I sometimes have them by their hand, but they're just slipping. You know, I can't save them. This picture here is where the girls were, the twins. One was at the door going into the room and the other one was right there next to her. So if you were to go in that room and get down and just go like that to feel, you would have gotten the twins. I mean, my girls were like right there. But at that time, I wasn't really told exactly what the evidence was with Todd. I just didn't know until years later. I did get the case file. And that's why I think at first Todd's plan did work to keep me. Before the fire, I was going to divorce Todd. After the fire, I didn't even think about the divorce anymore. I was still in shock. And I was hanging on to the only thing I had left, and that was Todd. Christmas Eve, that morning, Todd got out of the hospital. His parents picked him up, and I was there. Well, Todd started throwing a fit, no, I want to go to the house. And we were like, why? And he says, well, I want to go to the house. So we get there, standing in that house. It's a memory I can't get out of my head. I can't get that smell. I can sit here and I can smell that house, you know. They walk in the house and Todd grabs this cologne and he's dousing it back and forth. And I look and I'm like, what are you doing, Todd? He said, I'm pouring this cologne out because the twins like the smell of it. And I want the house to smell like my cologne because they like that. I just said, no, they don't. The twins can't even walk. They surely don't have a favorite cologne. And his dad says, boy, you need to stop doing that. They're probably still investigating this. He goes, I don't care. I don't care what they're doing. It's my house and I can do what I want. Todd walked down the hall. He's dousing it back and forth. He walks into the girls' room. He starts dousing it in the girls' room. But I didn't think anything about it. It's just cologne. I mean, if they're investigated, surely they'll know the difference in cologne and something else. So it didn't raise any red flags to me. This is a picture of the diagram of our house. It's an evidence picture. This was the pattern where Todd has supposedly poured kerosene on the floor. When I seen this picture, and I thought, wait a second, I've seen this before. This picture brought me back to that day. And I looked at it and I thought, how did Todd pour that cologne exactly where they're saying the kerosene was poured? We had 3 kerosene lamps. And I believe Todd took those lamps off that shelf. I believe he poured them down the hallway. I believe he poured them down the girls' room, under the beds. And I think he set that fire and walked out that door. And then waited till the fire trucks come. Because they said Todd was just sitting in the yard. He was just sitting there till the fire trucks come. And it's the same pour pattern as he poured that cologne. It's like he was trying to get back to the house to cover up what he had done with cologne before they started the investigation. On January the 8th of 92, Todd was arrested. And we were going over to my parents' house, which was across town. The cops turn their lights on and they start yelling, saying, put your hands up. And Todd turned around and looked at me and he said, Stacy,
They're going to lie to you.
whatever you hear after I get arrested, you don't believe it. You only listen to me and you believe what I tell you. Only believe what I say, because they're going to try to make you believe a lot of stuff that's not true. I'm like, what are you talking about, Todd?
Todd Willingham, exit the car with your hands up.
And he said, just remember, only listen to me. They come over, they arrest Todd. Well, I says, why are you arresting my husband?
What are you doing to him?
And they said, Stacy, we're arresting him for murder of your 3 daughters. And I'm like, what? How can you be doing that? Todd didn't do this. They just said, well, yes, he did. I started crying. You lose all 3 of your daughters at one time in a fire. And now 2 weeks later, you're supposed to believe that the man you had those babies with killed them. How are you to believe that? I can't even believe my daughters are dead, but now you want me to believe that my husband did it? How do you even process that? Todd wouldn't have hurt the girls. He wouldn't do this. That's just all I kept saying. And they took him off and they just left me there. This is a letter Todd wrote me a couple days before I was to testify for him, to tell me what I needed to say on the stand. I've never shared this letter or any letter that Todd ever wrote me. It says, Stacy, just be calm and do the best you can. And just remember, all you have to do is let them know the best memories, because those are the ones that will sound best. They are trying to make me look bad. You are to make me look good. And don't be afraid to cry. So he was telling me what to say to make him look good. I did testify on Todd's behalf. I did lie on stand for Todd. I did it for Todd because that's what he asked. When I was asked if me and Todd had a fight before the fire, I said that we didn't fight, and we did. I said that Todd didn't beat me. He told me to not tell him that he had beat me with a telephone because that would make him look bad. And I told him he'd have never hurt the kids. And I've said that several times because I still just couldn't believe a parent would kill their children. I didn't want to lie, but I just felt like I didn't have a choice with him. Even though Todd was locked up, I was just scared of Todd. After Todd was found guilty and was sentenced to death row, I still believed in Todd. I still thought Todd was innocent. I just couldn't believe that a parent would do that. So I believed him. And they brought Todd out.
Wait a minute.
And he's telling me, Stacy, don't you ever forget me. And he keeps yelling it, don't you ever forget me.
Remember me, Stacy, all right?
Todd.
I didn't do it. Don't let them take me away from you.
I went to Todd's execution. He said he was innocent. And then he turned to me and started just cussing me, saying, I hope you rot in hell, bitch. I remember that. And I remember him taking his arm and pushing it to give me a middle finger. But not one time did Todd ever say, I love my daughters. I never killed my daughters. He never mentions his daughters' names. I think that's what an innocent person would be yelling out. The next thing I know, they were touching me and telling me it was time to go. I thought that was it. Finally, it's over. Finally, I can move on. But how wrong I was. I was so wrong. After he was executed, I started seeing things in the paper about the Innocence Project. They think Todd's innocent. Texas executed an innocent man. I was told about the New Yorker article from my lawyer. When the New Yorker was published, they put in the article that it was bad science. And there's even another report from a fire expert saying that some of the stuff that they did use to prove his guilt was outdated. And the fire was either caused by a gas space heater or an electrical fire. But the gas was checked.
In the west wall, there was a space heater. It was connected by a metal pipe to a gas outlet. Again, there is no fire damage from the heater, eliminating it as a possible cause of the fire.
The gas was turned off. There was no gas going to that house. And also the electrical was checked, and there was no electrical fire.
An electrical outlet on the east wall, wiring still intact, no evidence of shorts.
There was no gas on in our house, and the electrical wire was checked. So it is arson, but still, they were yelling it from the rooftops. Cameron Todd Willingham was innocent. I felt like they were using him as a poster child to stop the death penalty in Texas. But find someone else, because this man was not innocent. He was guilty. When Todd got an execution date, I went up to the courthouse. They went to walk him out. And he looked at me and he said, Stacy, you need to come see me. You need to come see me. There are things that need to be said. You best come see me. And then he walked out. And 2 weeks before he was executed, on January the 31st, I went and visited with him on death row. When I went in there, I didn't know if Todd had done it or not. That's when I found out the truth. He said, Stacy, honestly, I didn't even go in there. I didn't even try to save the girls. I just walked out of the house. He said, do you remember the last time we fought before the fire? Do you remember what you said to me? I said, yes, I turned to you and I told you I didn't care what you had to say because after Christmas, I was divorcing you. He goes, right. He said, Stacy, I believed you. In my mind, I could not let you walk out of that house. You were not leaving me, and I didn't care what it took. You were not going to leave me. You were not divorcing me. And the only thing I could think of is if you didn't have Amber, Carmen, or Cameron, you couldn't leave me and go have kids with someone else. You could only have an Amber, Carmen, and Cameron with me. And when he said that, it's like that night at the hospital come into my mind. I'm like, he told me that the day of the fire. He told me, don't worry, because we'll have another Amber, Carmen, and Cameron. He said, I took what I knew would hurt you to make you stay with me. I'm so stupid for what I've done. After Todd had told me what he had done, he wanted me to write a letter and tell them that I would rather Todd spend life in prison than to be executed.
I don't want to die.
He said, Stacy, nobody wants to die. I said, Todd, you're right. No one wants to die. And I can guarantee you on December 23rd, my 3 daughters did not want to die in that house. Todd didn't just take my world. Todd took my future. This man just didn't take 3 girls from me. He took everything from me. He took my girls. He took my grandkids away. He took my life and what future I might have had away from me. And I just got up and I walked out. That was the last time I ever spoke to him. I've read where people say, you defended Todd all these years. I defended Todd for 10 months, not 13 years. And then I had read where one of the reporters had come to my house and interviewed me, and I told him that Todd didn't confess to me and all that, and that wasn't true. I never said that. The people that say that I lied, they're right. I did lie on stand for Todd, but I didn't lie about what Todd told me. Todd was not innocent. This is a letter that Todd sent me the day after our visitation. I've never shared this letter until today. It says, Dear Stacy, how are you? I hope this finds you well and in good spirits. I am grateful for you coming to see me and giving me a chance to say the things I could. He says that the visit was cleansing to his conscience. Saying those things in person meant so much more. So not only did he tell me face to face, he also wrote me. I don't really care what any report says. I don't believe a New Yorker or anything else. I believe what Todd told me. I hope telling the truth will make people realize, that Todd did murder my daughters. And it's not about the death penalty. It's not about that. Todd is guilty, and he's guilty of killing 3 little girls that everybody seems to have forgotten. No one will ever heal from losing a child. Never, ever. But in my case, you have to move on. You have to live. Either you're going to lay down and die, or you're going to get up and live. It's 2 choices you have. I chose to get up and I chose to live. But I know one day I will be back with my daughters. And that's what keeps me going.
My dad's innocent. He was proven innocent. After my dad actually finally confessed, it was a true gut punch. I don't think I've ever had that feeling in my entire life. I'm not sure if I ever will again. He did it, and he got away with it. And how he kept his composure and carried on. I don't know how you can do that. He let us down as a father. We absolutely knew she had everything to do with it. She's been a liar all her life and a manipulator. No doubt in my mind, she was responsible for this. I have such hatred for Mary Ann Shore and what she did to our family. I have no doubt in my mind that she was an evil person for the majority of her life. When I see these photos of my dad, it still is extremely hard to believe that he did what he did to another human being. I don't see it in him. My dad always came across as being very happy, good personality. He was never a grumpy person or sad. He would sit on the couch and watch TV and he'd laugh and, he seemed generally happy as a person. But when my mom and dad got divorced in 1973 and he took custody of myself and my sisters, things changed. Out in public, he was a nice, likable guy. But at home, my dad was a little bit different. I would consider him to be a control freak. He wanted everything his way. Chores that you had to do, if they weren't done perfect, he yelled a lot at us. When my dad would come home, he would go immediately into our bedrooms and inspect to see if they were clean and up to his standards.
Junior!
And when he called me Junior, I knew something was not right. It was not going to be good.
I thought I told you to clean up in here.
You could see the stress. His face would get a little red. Veins are kind of popping out on his neck. He would call me stupid. The intimidation factor of him being in your face and yelling at you, it is a scary thing.
You can't follow simple instructions, can you?
My dad really never hit us, but I almost felt like I'd rather have gotten a spanking and be done with it than have to be yelled and mentally berated every day. And he would just say, "You've got 15 minutes to get this clean, and I'll be back to take a look at it."
There had better not be a speck of dust in here. You got me?
And then he would turn around and leave, and you'd be doing everything you can to get it fixed the way he wanted it perfectly. But he would not let us get the vacuum cleaner out and vacuum the floor. We had to physically pick it up like it was a punishment to us. It was a tough time of my life. There were a lot of days it just wasn't fun being in that house. Talk about Jan, you just rather be beat sometimes and then have to put up with that. That is crazy. Oh, okay. The first time I met Mary Ann Shore was after my mom and dad got divorced. She was his secretary at work. She was probably in her 20s. My dad was maybe in his 30s, I guess. He used to go on business trips, and she was going to watch us while he was out of town. She seemed very nice, but it didn't take long for her to quickly assert herself. She let you know that she was in charge.
Big Alice Cooper fan, huh?
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, I like him too.
And one of the first times I realized that Mary Ann Shore was not quite who I thought she was one time she said, I will buy you every Alice Cooper album if you tell your dad how much you like me and how much you want me around.
Sound good?
And if you don't, I will tell him about the cigarettes that I found in your room. And that kind of took me by surprise.
Where did you get those?
I basically pleaded with her to stay out of my room. It's none of your business. This is my stuff. She looked at me and laughed. Said, I can do whatever I want. And if you don't do what I tell you or ask you to do, I will tell your dad.
Who's he gonna believe, you or me?
That's scary. What are you gonna do as a young kid? If he found out that I was smoking, I couldn't even fathom how mad he would get. I was scared to death.
Your dad comes home tomorrow. Let me know what you decide.
I did whatever Marianne asked me to do. I would tell my dad great things about Marianne Shore all the time, anytime I could. I would say, you know, I really like Marianne. She's a really nice person. She treats us well. She takes care of us. She's really fun to be around. I really like her. You should keep her. And it was just a flat out lie. That was a huge turning point in me realizing that she was not to be trusted at all. There were some things that were happening around our house that were causing a lot of tension, things that we couldn't really explain. And a lot of it happened when my dad was gone.
What did you do with my shirt?
What shirt?
My sister shared a room, and my oldest sister would have a shirt, you know, really nice shirt, and somehow it would end up in my other sister's drawer, and it would have a burn hole in it.
I didn't touch your stupid shirt.
Then how did it get ruined?
How the hell should I know?
It would start this fight between them. It seems sort of normal, you know, sibling rivalry, but these things with the clothes would happen a lot. Marianne Shore really never did anything to stop this at all. She just was there in the background. It almost seemed like she sat back and just let it keep escalating.
Get off me!
Stay out of my stuff.
Then you stay out of mine.
Later down the road, we figured out that Marianne was doing things like this to us in order to cause tension, because I think in her mind, she really wanted my dad for herself.
Why do you always accuse me of stuff I didn't do?
We told my dad it was Marianne. He absolutely did not believe us. He called us liars. You're lying. And I think that played into Marianne Shore's hands. She was manipulating the whole situation so she could get rid of us kids. She really wanted us gone at that point so she could have my dad, you know, in the house to herself. But, you know, we didn't know that she was just out of control. Once my sister and I figured out that, you know, we weren't doing these things together, we're saying, this is not us. Marianne is doing this to us. And he absolutely did not believe us. Marianne was around a lot during these times, and she was in charge of us kids during those 2 to 3 week periods that my dad was gone. This one time, mysteriously, a hole got cut in the back of a brand new couch that we've got. It was a physical hole. It was about this big.
So, how was everything?
Not great.
Guess who found this hole? Marianne Shore found it while my dad was on one of these trips. And of course, she told my dad.
Junior, where are you?
And that was one of the worst days of my life as a child. My dad was so mad.
You explain this.
What?
Yes.
I've never seen my dad this mad in his life. I mean, I think his veins were out 2 inches on his neck. He was purple red. He yelled at me easily for an hour. I just told him, constantly, over and over, I didn't do it. Why would I do it? Doesn't make sense. And I would just cut a hole in the back of a couch. Why would you do that? And then there was Marianne Shore. She was just quiet as a mouse, looking down with this sort of uncomfortable smirk on her face. Not saying a word, not looking up.
Look at her. She probably did.
Stop trying to blame Mary Ann for everything.
As smart as a man as my dad was, he couldn't see through his rage.
Get out of here now.
Mary Ann Shore essentially truly succeeded in driving these massive wedges between me and my sisters and my dad.
I am so sorry.
I just remember sitting in my room and crying for hours. And I mean, really, your mind starts to get dark. What can you do to her to turn the tides? I think it was probably as close as I've ever thought to ever killing somebody in my entire life. Like really wanting somebody dead at that point. I'm a smart guy. I'm not going to kill somebody. But man, your mind goes into some dark places at that point. I just wanted to escape.
And also, I mean,
I'm gonna have to take a break for a second. Dang, I didn't expect that. Well, that took me back to a very dark place. They broke up several times, and it never lasted that long. They always were back together. But when they broke up for good, I'm pretty sure I was 15 or 16 at the time. It was just me and my dad. My older sister graduated high school and she had moved out. And my other sister followed shortly thereafter when she graduated.
Going away again?
Yeah. My dad said, hey, I've got to go on a trip overseas, and it's going to be a little longer than my normal trip, about 30 days. He said, I'm not sure when I'm going to be back.
This time's going to be a little different. Should be back in about a month.
Is everything okay?
Everything's fine.
And normally when my dad would leave, and he would always call a couple times and check on us, and then he would always have somebody staying with us. Well, that time he actually gave me money for groceries and just said, take care of the house. I'll see you when I get back. He didn't have anybody checking in on me. So it was weird. It was very strange. He was gone, and we did not hear from him until the day he showed back up. Years later, talking with my dad's lawyer, I found out he actually went to prison during that time, 30 days. He was charged and convicted of tax evasion. And Mary Ann, apparently, when they broke up for good, she was going to get revenge. Mary Ann had turned him in on the tax evasion charge. I'm not sure my dad knew at the time she was the one that turned him in, but when my dad showed up in the taxi to come home, Mary Ann Shore was with him. The first time I met Brenda I was bartending, and he brought her in and introduced me to her, and they had a couple of drinks.
Girlfriend? Friend of my son, Michael.
She was a very quiet person, didn't really say a lot, beautiful smile, very nice. She seemed so different from Mary Ann. It was like a breath of fresh air. I was like, wow, he's actually met somebody that seemed very cool, very nice, genuine. They seemed very happy together.
We've been dating for a little while now. That's me.
Maybe that's the last we'll see of Mary Ann Shore. This is a picture of him and Brenda. He looks really happy, but she doesn't have this big smile on her face. She kind of looked indifferent to me, which, you know, I don't know if this was at the time where they were having some issues. I feel like maybe she's not as happy about their relationship as he is. And I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I read from her face. There was a night that my dad, wanted me to come over for dinner because he had an announcement to make. We were all sitting at the table. My grandmother was there. My aunt was there.
I have some big news.
And he made this announcement that he had asked Brenda to marry him, and she accepted, and he gave her a ring.
I proposed Brenda and she said yes.
We were like, wow, congratulations. But the odd part about that was she wasn't there. Usually when you make those announcements, your significant other is there.
That's great news, Dad. Where's Brenda right now? She couldn't get out of work in time to be here.
Looking back on that, it was very, very strange that Brenda was not with him when he made that announcement to our family. But I just thought it was the way he did things, That's just the way my dad is. I wrote it off to the quirkiness of his personality.
We haven't set a date yet, but as soon as we do, we'll let everyone know.
I had no idea that she had given him the ring back or told him that she wanted to call off the engagement. We didn't know that at the time. That was never made clear to any of us. And only came out in the days after Brenda disappeared. I was working a bartending shift at the restaurant, and I got a call.
Ortiz Tavern.
And it was my dad. He was crying, saying that Brenda was missing. They can't find her.
Whoa. Dad, slow down. What's going on?
I've never heard my dad cry before. And he was sobbing, crying, crazy crying.
Okay, I'll be here as soon as my shift ends.
I finished my shift and I went over to my dad's house where my grandmother was, and my aunt was there. And they are sitting around the kitchen table, and my dad is crying hysterically.
Dad, are you okay? What happened?
Brenda's missing.
I've never seen my dad in this state. He was telling us the story of how they had spent the day together, and then they went out to eat at one of their favorite places to eat, and then she left to go home.
She said she called me when she got home. She never did.
The police found the car on this highway that night. The car had a flat tire, and the car had been broken into, and there had been blood found, and the radio was stolen.
They said there's no sign of her.
They don't know what happened to her, and he feared the worst. I mean, the whole situation was extremely uncomfortable, seeing my dad just sobbing incoherently about how she's missing, she's gone, she's probably dead.
Calm down.
And he kept saying, I don't know what I'm going to do without her. I love her so much.
She's gone. I know.
Looking back on it now, it was almost over the top. When they found Brenda's car on the highway, there was blood on the seat and the stereo was gone. That was not Brenda's blood. It was not my dad's blood. It was somebody out of the blue saw a car on the highway and they broke into it and stole the stereo. And that threw their investigation off from the very beginning. Brenda's family really didn't like my dad, so they were very adamant that they absolutely knew it was him that did it. They just kept reiterating in the press that he was still their number one suspect. The focus turned on my dad. The newspaper every day had articles about this investigation and my dad, but my dad was never never came across as worried about anything. He was very adamant that he was innocent, and that's what he portrayed. When I got done getting ready for work and dressed, I opened up my door, grabbed my paper, and when I unfolded my paper, they had found Brenda's body. It was the picture of my dad, Mel Ignato, arrested for the murder of Brenda Sue Schaefer. Big headlines, and your heart sinks. You know, you're just like, oh my God. And of course, I turned on the TV, and the news is just nonstop about my dad and the arrest. He was charged with murder. I still didn't believe it, but it's devastating to see this. It just seems so surreal, like this couldn't happen. Marianne actually led the police to the body, so now they had a body. And that was a shocker because, you know, we had no idea Marianne Shore was in the picture in my dad's life at all. The FBI and the police had been tracking my dad, and they had his phone bugged. And Marianne Shore, she lived in a house that had woods behind it. She called my dad and said she was really concerned because they were going to develop this land and that they will find that site that my dad and Marianne buried her in. The police started putting pressure on Marianne Shore. She finally cracked and said, I can take you to where the body is. Marianne Shore told them my dad murdered Brenda, killed her with chloroform, is how she actually died. Suffocated her, supposedly after sexually assaulting, torturing her. It's just horrific. We found out that Marianne Shore had been involved some way, and she led the police to the body. It was like a light bulb. She did it. My dad had nothing to do with that. That was Marianne Shore. She is crazy enough to have killed Brenda because she wanted my dad. The body was buried in the woods behind the house she was renting. There was no doubt in our minds that he was innocent. He was innocent. It was not him. It was Marianne Shore. The first time I saw my dad after he got arrested, the things that my dad said were very reassuring to me.
I had nothing to do with this.
I didn't do this. This was the work of Marianne Shore. I'm absolutely convinced of this. Stay strong. Don't worry about a thing. This is all going to work out.
You and I both know who did this. She's setting me up.
You know, didn't show any signs of being distraught or distressed. It was that calm facade that he had and confident. I felt very good about what was going to happen with my dad.
I'll be out of here in no time. Okay. I'll see you soon.
But looking back, he really didn't mention a whole lot about Brenda. It was more about Marianne and how he couldn't believe she would have done it, as opposed to grieving about Brenda. And I don't think that I ever really questioned my dad if he killed Brenda. I never asked that question. Did you kill Brenda? During his original trial for the murder of Brenda Sue Schaefer, Marianne was their star witness. I was not in the courtroom for her testimony because I was a character witness for my dad. But with the press covering this quite heavily in the newspapers, we heard about this testimony. Marianne alleged that he sexually abused, assaulted, tortured, and murdered Brenda Sue Schaefer. She was testifying about helping dig the hole for Brenda that my dad and Marianne buried her in. My dad drove that car to the freeway, and she followed him in another car. And he got out, took a regular, household steak knife, stabbed the tire, and then they drove off and left the car. But where was the evidence of all of this? They didn't find any DNA evidence on Brenda. No proof whatsoever. Marianne Shore told them they took pictures of it, but the police searched that house twice. They didn't find anything. She's been a liar all her life. We did not trust her at all, and we had no doubts in our mind that she was the one that killed Brenda. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. That was my father's defense. If Marianne Shore couldn't have Melignato, no one can. She set him up, and we believed it. We just thought that she was going to take my dad down any way she could. Now, this is Marianne Shore during the trial on the stand and telling the story of what they did to her. She didn't shed a tear. She was emotionless, but she's pretty adamant here that she did not kill Brenda Sue Schaefer and trying to pin it on my dad. I had nothing to do with it. He's guilty, and he knows it, and I know it. And nobody believed her. Nobody. The jurors didn't believe her at all. When they first came out with the not guilty, I mean, you talk about the weight of the world off your shoulders. I mean, it was amazing, that feeling that you were vindicated, that we knew all along my dad didn't do it. This proves us right. You could tell he was extremely emotional, and then joy sets in. The picture of joy. This picture was the day after my dad was acquitted. There was a big press conference on the steps of the courthouse. And man, is he happy. I mean, the look in his face of relief. I'm standing right by his side. We were absolutely ecstatic. He was proven innocent. We stood by him. This is a great day. Looking at this picture now, knowing what we know, I just want to punch him in the face. I hate to say that he's my dad, but you just want to be like, man, what a liar, Oh my gosh. Marianne Shore had cut a deal with the Commonwealth's attorney in order to testify against my dad, that she would get a leniency. I believe she thought she wasn't going to serve any time whatsoever, but I believe she spent at least two to 3 years in the federal penitentiary. When my dad was arrested, we came to realize that we had, to sell his house, his car, his boat, his possessions to come up with money for his lawyers. So when my dad got out, he came to live with me. He didn't really go out in the community too much. He pretty much stayed at home. 9 months passed. Thursday night was my bowling night, so my dad was sitting on the couch watching TV. My dad would be up all hours of the night, so I knew he'd be up when I got home. And I guess I got home about 11:30 at night. And I walked in and the lights are on and TV's on, and there's my dad's had partially drank Coke on the table next to the couch, and he wasn't there.
Hey, Dad, I'm back.
I'm like, oh, that's weird. He's probably downstairs doing laundry.
Night.
I went to bed. And when I woke up, the lights were still on and the TV was still on.
Dad?
And my dad wasn't there. And I happened to look and I saw all kinds of messages on my phone. Mike, have you seen the news? You know, give us a call. I think one of them was my aunt. Called my aunt. She said, Mike, your dad's been arrested again.
What do you mean?
She was like, they found the evidence that implicates him in the murder of Brenda. They found the film that Marianne Shore told them they took pictures of. It was in his old house.
How is that possible?
The new owner of his house had wanted to replace the carpet. And so they had a carpet company come in and they were tearing out the carpet when they uncovered a hidden air duct in the floor. The carpet company found this bag of jewelry and undeveloped film. And knowing the history of the house, they immediately called the FBI.
I gotta call you back.
And he developed it. And it was everything that Marianne Shore told them. She was telling the truth, but nobody believed her. I hit the floor. I really feel like the biggest heavyweight boxer punched me in the stomach and I couldn't stand. And I just hit the floor. Once they discovered the true hard evidence, the smoking gun, as you will, that showed my dad, doing these things to Brenda, they couldn't recharge him with murder. Once you have been tried for a crime and acquitted, you cannot be recharged with that crime. But the federal government wasn't giving up. They were now charging him with perjury. I went down to the courthouse. My dad had agreed to admit everything, and he stood up on that stand in court and admitted everything. Said he was sorry. That was a tough day. It was arguably the worst moment in my entire life. I can't tell you how mad, how upset, how disappointed that we all were. When my dad was convicted of the 2 charges of perjury in the federal trial, he was sentenced to 9 years in federal prison. He ultimately ended up spending a little less than 7 years in prison. I'm a little torn on that because I am a believer in the death penalty. I think, if you kill somebody, you shouldn't live. I mean, I really, truly believe my dad should have been put to death for that. Brenda's family, they really, really got cheated out on what should have happened to my dad. I did not see my dad for 7 years. I did not go visit him in federal prison. I didn't want to. I felt so betrayed and so used. There was no way I was making a trip to go see him. He can rot in hell. He asked if he could come and stay with me. I had to do some serious thinking about it. And, You know, I just decided it was probably the right thing to do. He was my dad. He needed a place to live and he had nowhere to go. My dad and I had some conversations about what had happened, and he did apologize to me during some of those, face-to-face conversations, but we really never got into it very deep. I don't think I ever really believed that he truly accepted the responsibility. My dad ended up staying with me for probably about 9 months to a year after he got out of federal prison. I'm not sure I ever really forgave him. I love my dad enough to take care of him and do what I felt like I needed to do, in his later life. I'm not sure I've ever forgiven him for what he did. Once my dad moved out, I would go by and check on him all the time. On Monday morning, on my way into work, I decided I'm going to stop by and make sure everything's okay.
Hey, Dad, open up.
I knock on the door, nobody's answering. His van is out in the driveway. So I open the door, and what I see is just a horrifying scene. I see this broken glass table, and there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, oh crap, this is not good. This walker was laying on the ground and the leg was bent. You could tell that he was probably walking on it and it collapsed and he went into this coffee table. I followed this trail of blood into his bedroom, and I walked into his bedroom. I turned around, and there he was up against the wall on the ground. He crashed through a glass coffee table, cut his arm really bad, and ended up bleeding to death in his apartment. He didn't grab his phone to call for help. I think he just decided it was time for him to lay down and die. When I saw my dad on the ground in the scene, I honestly felt relieved. In my mind, I felt like, is this finally over? Can we, as a community, finally move on from this nightmare that he caused? That was a tough way to die, but I'm a big believer in karma. When Marianne and my dad murdered Brenda, they had her taped to this glass coffee table. And it was ultimately a glass coffee table that did him in. That is karma, the definition of karma. It got him. I recall hearing about Marianne Shore's death really didn't happen too long after she had been released. She died of either cancer or a heart attack. Marianne Shore's role in this, it's really hard to wrap my mind around. To this day, I still believe she's the one that got my dad to kill Brenda. Her ultimate goal in life was to be with my dad, and she would do anything and everything possible to make that happen. He did it, but I think it was her that pushed him to do it. Over the years, I've put a lot of thought into what was going through my dad's mind when he decided to kill Brenda. The only thing that I can think of is that she was the icing on the cake to this perfect life that he created with the nice house, the nice car, this ultra successful man. who's on top of the world. And when she decided to break up with him, I think it crashed his dream. I just think he lost his mind. And to this day, I still can't really understand it. I tried not to harbor all that, anger. It's just not good for you. But I have such hatred for Mary Ann Shore and what she did to our family. She was an evil person for the majority of her life. And I don't know how she convinced him to do it, but I, in my heart, believe she was ultimately pulling the strings.